Following a shocking announcement that has stunned the world, the Euphrates River, a lifeline for millions of people across the Middle East, has been at the center of attention in recent days. With tensions rising and the future of the region's economy, environment, and politics uncertain, experts and observers are left wondering what this could mean. With so much riding on the outcome of this mysterious and potentially game-changing development, the entire world waits with bated breath for more details. Let's look deep into the matter. Around the 4th millennium BC, Sumer experienced its first flourishing of civilization, which can be traced back to the Euphrates River, which was the primary source of water in the region. Meri, Sippar, Nippur, Shuruppak, Uruk, and Eridu are just some of the ancient cities that were situated on or close to the banks of rivers. Other important ancient sites include Uruk and Eridu. The river valley became the core territory of the later empires of Babylonia and Assyria to emerge from the Middle East. For a number of centuries, the river served as the boundary between the effective control of the Romans and the Egyptians on the eastern side of the region and the western regions held by the Persian Empire. In addition, the Battle of Karbala took place on the banks of the Euphrates River. This is the location where Imam Hussain, along with members of his family and close friends, was killed. The name Euphrates may have come from the Old Persian word Ufratu, which in turn may have been derived from the Avestan word hu perestua, which meant good to cross over, coming from the prefix hu, which meant good, and the word peretu, which meant ford. Alternately, there is a school of thought that proposes the name Euphrates could have originated in Kurdish. The word ferarat, which literally translates to wide-flowing water, is derived from the Kurdish words fere, which means wide, Re, which means flowing water, and hat, which simply means flowing. Ferat, which is used in modern Kurdish, may be a shortened version of a much longer name. However, the Indo-European etymology of the name is called into question by the fact that the Sumerian and Akkadian names for the Euphrates are Buranun and Puratu, respectively, with Buranun being attested in an inscription associated with King Gudea. It would seem plausible, therefore, that the pre-Iranian name of the river was the inspiration for the Old Persian name of the river, which was derived from popular etymology. The length of the river is approximately 730 kilometers long. It is formed by the union of two branches, the Kara, which rises in the Armenian highlands of what is now eastern Turkey north of Erzurum, and the Murat, the eastern Euphrates, which emerges from an area southwest of Mount Ararat, north of Lake Van. Together, these two branches combine to form the river that is known as the Euphrates. The upper reaches of the Euphrates River flow through a number of steep canyons and gorges as they make their way southward across Syria and into Iraq. In eastern Syria, the Kabur River and the Balik River both flow into the Euphrates and join them there. Both rivers can be traced back to their beginnings in the country of Turkey. The Euphrates stops receiving any new water flow downstream very early on in its course, and this continues the entire way. This river joins forces with the Tigris to create the Arvan Shat al-Arab in southern Iraq. The river then flows into the Persian Gulf after merging with the Tigris. Basra is located in this region. The river used to branch off into a number of channels at Basra, which resulted in the formation of a vast marshland. However, during the 1990s, the marshes were largely drained by the government of Saddam Hussein as a means of expelling the dissident marsh Arabs. Since the American invasion of Iraq in 2003, the drainage policy has been turned around, but it is still unknown whether or not the marshes will be able to recover. Only boats with a very shallow draft are able to navigate the Euphrates. These boats can travel as far as the Iraqi city of Hit, which is 1,200 miles upstream and is only 53 meters above sea level. However, the river is not suitable for commercial navigation above Hit due to the presence of shoals and rapids in that region. The annual flooding that is brought on by the melting snow in the mountains of northeastern Turkey has been partially mitigated by the construction of new dams and reservoirs in the upper reaches of the river. The Euphrates and the Tigris rivers are connected by a canal that is 885 kilometers long and 550 miles long. This canal acts as a passageway for river barges. According to Sigmund Freud, the beginning of civilization was the first time an angry person cast a word instead of a rock. This is a famous quote. Whether that particular event took place in the fertile plain surrounding the Euphrates and Tigris rivers is likely to remain unclear. However, the histories of the world have traditionally seen Mesopotamia, from the ancient Greek for land between rivers and mostly contained in modern Iraq, as the area in which cities, law, and agriculture first developed. This is because Mesopotamia is mostly contained in modern Iraq. Accordingly, this series concludes where it began, at the dawn of civilization. It does so by investigating the two arteries that, along with the Nile, were responsible for the formation of the Fertile Crescent and sustained the ancient civilizations, dynasties, and empires of Sumer, Ur, Akkad, Babylonia, Assyria, and Persia. These rivers may have nourished the Hanging Gardens, and they may have originated in Eden. However, they were certainly responsible for Sumer, the oldest known civilization of southern Mesopotamia, produced this icon of Gudea, the ruler of the ancient city of Lagash, which lies between the rivers. This icon was found in between the rivers. Sumer, which first developed in the 4th millennium BC, had flourished culturally and commercially for millennia, and was resurgent following the conquest by the Semitic-speaking Akkadian Empire by the time this likeness of Gudea was made. Gudea ruled during the years 2144 to 2124 BC. The statuette is made of incredibly valuable diorite, which was most likely obtained by Magan. In this section of the map of northern Mesopotamia drawn by the Persian geographer Al-Istakri in the 10th century, the rivers can be seen. The eastern Tigris, which can be found on the left, is both quicker and shorter, coming in at 1,850 kilometers. The name derives from the Sumerian word indigna, which can be translated as quick river. It is estimated that the name Euphrates means wide flowing water or good to cross over. The length of the Euphrates is 2,800 kilometers. Both of these waterways start out in Turkey and make their way out to the Persian Gulf. Two different depictions of Babylon highlight the significance of the Euphrates River to the city. The Tuba suburb, along with the tributary of the river and two gates, is depicted on this clay tablet. Cuneiform, a form of writing developed by the Sumerians, can be found on the back of the coin. Originally settled by Akkadians, Babylon grew to become the largest city in the world, arguably reaching its zenith in the 6th century BC under the reign of Nebuchadnezzar II, who also oversaw the production of this tablet during his reign. The importance of the rivers to Babylon was described by Herodotus, who wrote, "The whole Babylonian territory is cut up into channels, and the largest is navigable for ships and runs from the Euphrates to another river, which is the Tigris." A river flowed out of Eden to water the garden, and there it divided and became 4 rivers. This is the first time that the Euphrates and the Tigris are mentioned in the Bible. The Tigris is the name of the 3rd river, which flows to the east of Assyria, following in the footsteps of the Pishon and the Gihon. And the Euphrates is considered to be the 4th river. The 6th angel in the book of Revelation orders the release of the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates, a scene that is depicted in this manuscript, and then the river is dried up so that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. This scene occurs after the 6th angel demands the release of the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. The Euphrates River is mentioned quite a few times throughout the Bible, and its role in the events that took place in both the Old and New Testaments is of critical significance. The book of Genesis contains one of the earliest references to the Euphrates River that can be found in the Bible. It is mentioned as one of the 4 rivers that flowed out of the Garden of Eden in Genesis 2:14, where that passage is found. In later chapters of the book of Exodus, the Euphrates is mentioned for the first time as the river that demarcates the eastern boundary of the land that God had promised to the Israelites. In addition, the history of ancient Israel includes the Euphrates River as a significant point of interest. The Israelites were successful in expanding their territory during the reign of King David, eventually reaching all the way to the Euphrates River. It is written in 2 Samuel 8:3-4 that David triumphed over the armies of Hadadezer, king of Zobah, and took control of the land all the way to the Euphrates River. This information comes from the Bible. The Euphrates River is not only important in the Old Testament, but is also mentioned in the book of Revelation, which is part of the New Testament canon. According to Revelation 16:12, the Euphrates River will become completely dry, clearing the way for kings from the east to enter the Holy Land and establish their kingdoms there. The fact that the Euphrates River is mentioned in the book of Revelation in the New Testament is consistently cited as one of the most puzzling aspects of this river. In Revelation 16:12 that the Euphrates River will be completely dried up, which will clear the way for the kings of the east to enter the Holy Land. This prophecy has been construed in a number of different ways by different people. Some contend that it is a literal reference to the rivers drying up, while others believe that it is a metaphorical reference to an event that is either spiritual or political. In addition, throughout the course of history, the Euphrates River has been linked to a variety of myths and legends. In ancient Sumerian mythology, it was believed that the Euphrates was one of the 4 rivers that flowed out of the Garden of Eden. On the other hand, in Greek mythology, the river was associated with the god Apollo and his sister Artemis. In addition, the Euphrates River has been an important figure in the development of both the region's history and its culture. The ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia, such as the Babylonians and the Assyrians, relied heavily on this body of water for their daily needs. The importance of the river continued into the modern era, with the construction of the Euphrates Dam in the 1960s, which provided hydroelectric power and irrigation for the region. Both of these things contributed to the continued importance of the river. The Euphrates River, despite its historical and cultural significance, is confronted with a great deal of difficulty in modern times. The river's flow has significantly decreased as a result of multiple factors, including climate change, overuse, and the construction of dams, which places the livelihoods of millions of people who rely on the river in jeopardy. Further deterioration of the river and the ecosystem it supports has been brought about as a direct result of the ongoing conflicts in the region. In conclusion, the Euphrates River is not only an indispensable element of the Middle East's topography, but it is also an important cultural and historical landmark. The fact that it plays a significant role in the Bible demonstrates how important it is to the region's spiritual and cultural history. It is imperative that we make efforts to preserve and protect the Euphrates River as we face new challenges in the modern era. Doing so will ensure that it will continue to serve as a source of life and inspiration for future generations, even after we have passed on. One more thing that nobody really knows about the Euphrates is what happened to the city of Euphratesia. The city was said to have been one of the most prosperous and technologically advanced cities during its time, and was said to have been located on the banks of the Euphrates River, as the legend goes. On the other hand, the city is said to have been obliterated by a massive flood, and to this day, its location is unknown. In more recent times, the Euphrates has been linked to a variety of different conspiracy theories, one of which is the belief that the river's depletion is part of a larger plan by powerful global elites to control the water supply throughout the world. Some people believe that the dams and water diversions on the river are part of a larger scheme hatched by certain nations to exert control over the resources that are located in the region. The Euphrates River continues to be a vital source of life and inspiration for millions of people throughout the Middle East, despite the mystique and intrigue that surrounds it. It is essential that we work together to protect and preserve this remarkable river and its rich cultural heritage in this modern era, as we continue to face new challenges that have emerged in this era. Coming to the controversial issue regarding the river, there is a great deal of debate regarding who has the right to use the river and for what purposes. The Southeastern Anatolia project in Turkey will involve the construction of 22 dams and 19 power plants by 2005. This will be the most extensive infrastructure development project that Turkey has ever attempted. The construction of the first dams was finished in 1990. Southeast Turkey is still dealing with economic difficulties, which adds fuel to the discontent expressed by Turkey's Kurdish minority, which is centered there. The Turkish authorities have high hopes that the project will provide a boost to the economy of the surrounding region. However, critics both inside and outside of Turkey have cast doubt on its potential benefits and have attacked the scheme's potential social and environmental costs. The Tabaka Dam in Syria, which was finished in 1973 and is also sometimes referred to as simply the Euphrates Dam, creates a reservoir called Lake Assad, which is used for irrigating cotton fields. Syria has already dammed its 2 main rivers and is currently working on constructing a third dam. The Iraqi government maintains 7 operational dams, but water management was not a priority under Saddam Hussein's rule. Since the fall of the Ba'ath regime in Iraq in 2003, water consumption has once again become a primary concern. Because there is so little water available in the Middle East, Iraq lives in constant fear that its neighbors, Syria and Turkey, will consume the vast majority of the available water before it reaches Iraq. In its current form, irrigation in southern Iraq contributes very little water to the Shatt al-Arab, which is a tributary of the Tigris. Talking about the climatic condition, the drought in Iraq is the worst it has been in decades. Communities along the Tigris and Euphrates rivers have been left without access to the water they need to survive due to a lack of precipitation and inefficient resource management. To prevent crop failure, authorities in the Kurdistan region of the country drained a portion of the Mosul Dam reservoir in January. The choice turned out to save more than just harvests. Archaeologists were able to successfully map what they believe to be a major city in the Mitanni Empire, built 3,400 years ago out of the drained area, but they only had a few days to do so before the waters returned. Locals were aware of the city's existence when the dam was built in the 1980s, but Live Science's Patrick Pester reports that the buildings and artifacts that had survived the city's destruction in an earthquake around 1350 BCE had never been thoroughly explored. The city's first major rise from the mud occurred in 2018 during a severe drought, as reported by Jason Daly in Smithsonian. While there, they discovered the remains of wall paintings in vibrant shades of red and blue and explored the massive 22-foot-high walls that were 6 feet thick and surrounded the lost palace. Unfortunately, the archaeologists were unable to complete a thorough city map before the floodwaters returned. So when drought hit again this year, the University of Tübingen quickly assembled a research team to travel to the site, as reported in a press release. Scientists at the University of Freiburg were able to secure emergency funding to survey as much of the city as possible before it was submerged again. The team's mapping of numerous large buildings and the discovery of hundreds of artifacts have given archaeologists a much better idea of what life was like in this ancient city. There was an industrial complex, a multi-story storage building, and a fortification with a wall and towers. Although the walls were constructed of sun-dried mud and had been submerged for over 40 years, the team was impressed by how well many of them had been preserved. The earthquake that leveled the city is probably to blame for that. It reduced the city's upper walls to rubble, burying and protecting the city below for centuries. 5 ceramic jars with over 100 cuneiform tablets, some still sealed in clay, are also remarkably well preserved. University of Tübingen archaeology professor Peter Falsner makes the statement, calling the underwater survival of unfired clay tablets close to a miracle. Researchers are keeping their fingers crossed that the tablets, some of which may be letters, will provide new insights into the history of the city and its inhabitants' daily lives. Zakiku, a major city in the Mitanni Empire that existed from about 1500 to 1350 BCE, may have been located there. At its peak, the empire spanned just over 600 miles from the Zagros Mountains to the Mediterranean Sea, making it one of a number of kingdoms and states founded by the Indo-Iranians in Mesopotamia and Syria. In the early years of the Mitanni's empire, they fought with Egypt over who would rule Syria. A peace treaty was eventually signed with Egyptian pharaoh Thutmose IV in 1420 BCE. The Mitannis were defeated by the Hittite Empire around the year 1365 BCE, and the area was subsequently colonized by the Assyrians. This isn't the only ghost town that drought has brought to light this year, but the emergence of this underwater city is truly incredible. According to Gizmodo's Molly Taft, a drought in February left the Spanish village of Aceredo, which had been submerged to make way for the Alto Lindoso Reservoir in 1992, in its utter nakedness. When the water level in the reservoir drops, it's not uncommon to see the roofs of houses, but this winter was abnormally dry due to climate change, exposing entire buildings for the first time. In February, the Mosul Reservoir had once again filled up, so the study was called off. Before the waters completely reflooded the area, the team worked to protect the city by covering the area in tarps on top of gravel fill. That's all we have for the video today. If you want more such videos, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel to receive more videos and hit the notification bell to receive notifications when we upload new videos to our channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.